God, we thank you, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for this meeting. I thank you, Lord, for everything that will occur at this meeting. Father God, we live for your glory. Let this meeting, oh Lord, be for your glory. And we bless you and we praise you in your Son's name. Amen.
Okay, at this time I'd like to invite Usama Dakdok to stand up and join us as our speaker.
Well, good evening. With show of hands, how many of you have seen me here before? How many first time? How many does not understand my question? All right, so we're on track here. This is a long presentation. I'm not going to do all of it. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping and praying to get to the first 54 slides. It will go normally for 4.5 hours. And I'm not going to cover all that. I'm just going to beg you for the next hour and 10, 15 minutes or so. Until you get to this very important point, I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to open the floor for question and answer. If nobody would like to ask me any question, I'll go for another 10, 15 more minutes. But if you have a question while I'm talking, feel free to drag it down on a piece of paper. If you have some hard time to remember, like I do myself. Believe it or not, I'll be talking about something and I want to say something else. I say, well, I keep it for the next slide. So I go to the next slide and then I can't remember what I was going to tell you about in the previous slide. Then I just go without it. So if you have this problem to remember, write your question down on a piece of paper, and when we finish, I would love to answer. If we're running late and we want to go, I'm not going anywhere. I'm spending here the night in Orlando, and I don't have to go eat in the Mexican food because I'm going to my family relative who is going to fix me some good Egyptian food. So I will stay another hour. If you want to stay with me for another hour, I will talk for a little bit longer. Revealing the truth about Sharia Islamic Law is our presentation for today. And let's start with this introduction.
This troubled world is experiencing a clash of cultures and an ideological war that dates back over 1,400 years. The loyal followers of a violent and intolerant religion are once again on the march, seeking to bring the globe under the domination of Islam. The nations that have fallen prey to this ungodly faith are quite easy to recognize. Freedoms and rights enjoyed by most of us in the West are typically denied in Muslim countries. Women and homosexuals are oppressed or killed. Other faiths are banned or discriminated against. Certain foods are prohibited. And penalties for even simple crimes are cruel and severe. This way of regulating every aspect of life and government is simply known as Sharia. Muslims claim that Sharia, or Islamic law, and the freedoms and rights we enjoy from the U.S. Constitution are perfectly compatible. But is this true? Can Sharia and the U.S. Constitution coexist in America?
And this is the question which I will do my best to answer as best as we can for the time we have tonight. Can Constitution and our Islamic Sharia coexist in America? This is obviously the biggest lie Muslims and liberals believe, and they want you to believe in it. What is Sharia? Most American people talk about Sharia without having a clue what Sharia is. As a matter of fact, the proof of that is you'll never hear some TV show host or some speaker on a radio program or any meeting who mentions the word Sharia, except they must follow it by the word law. So they always say what? Sharia law. And that is a great evidence to me that they have no clue what they're talking about. Here's a question given in a meet your Muslim neighbor or interfaith meeting, or I call it propaganda Islam. The question is given by this wonderful lady to the Muslim panel of 5 people who spoke for enough time to spread enough lies. And it's amazing how this evolved. Years ago, we used to go to these meetings and we set our cameras and record the meeting, and then question and answer session comes and we go to the mic and we ask our question and Muslim answer our question. Then they change it. Now you cannot ask a question, you have to write your question on a piece of paper, and they choose which question to answer, which question not to answer. And by the way, now you cannot have a camera in such meetings. In our meetings, we always love for people to bring cameras. As a matter of fact, I always invite our Muslim friends whom maybe they think to come and say, please bring a camera with you. Borrow a camera. Buy a camera. Whatever you do, you need to record my meeting, because afterwards I want you to investigate what we teach, if it is true or propaganda. So here in this, one of the last meeting, we're able to record, listen to the question and the answer about Sharia.
A couple of our audience members wanted to hear more about Sharia law, in particular, like how it's regarded by Muslims living in the United States and its relation to North Dakota laws. Does anyone feel like can speak to that?
Very good question. If anybody in this room found Sharia law book, please bring it to me. I really want to see this book. Where is this Sharia law book? In Islam, we have Islamic rules. Islamic laws that every Muslim follows. Some do not. Some follow some of it. But there's nothing in Sharia law's book that there is a written book, and we as Muslims go and want to apply that book to our daily life in North Dakota or anywhere we live. Our scholars, the school of thought that I myself follow in Islam tells me that I have to follow the rule of the country that I live in. That's it.
The question first was given, is there any problem between Sharia law and the North Dakota law or the U.S. Constitution? He answered that if anyone in the audience can show him a book of Sharia law, he would love to see it. And all the people in the meeting laughed. Ha 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 ha. It was a funny joke. No, it's not. Because in reality, there is no Sharia law book, as there is no Holy Bible or Holy Bible. But there is Ahmad al-Salik, the Reliance of the Traveler, Arabic and English, over 1,200 pages, written since 1990, approved by the Azhar University. All Muslim imams, including he himself, study it. You don't tell me that there is some laws written in the air, and Muslims follow some of it, and some others don't follow any of it, because if there is laws, these laws must be written in some books. But the problem is, these audience are liberal. The person who asked the question did not know how to answer the question right, because there is no Sharia law book. What do you mean by that? The word Sharia is a word law, not Sharia law. When you say Sharia law, you are telling me law, which mean to me, you are living in a la land. You have no clue what you're talking about. And trust me, in all the videos we show in this presentation entirely, every American use the word Sharia, he always or she always followed by the word law. Sharia law does not exist, but Sharia does exist. Where is Sharia? So you can use the word Sharia or the word Islamic law, one of these two. And since we don't speak Arabic in America, and I'm not interested to hear you say a few words in Arabic, since you're not a scholar in the Arabic language, then just stick with English. This is America, we speak English. Otherwise, we're going to lose our English. So, use the word Islamic law, unless somebody like me, I'll use the word Sharia because it comes natural. Now, what does the term Sharia mean? Here we go.
The term Sharia is the sacred law of Islam. It is used to refer both the Islamic system of law and the totality of the Islamic way of life.
That is Sharia. It's a secret law. Every Muslim lives by it. I know not every Muslim practice all of it, but they live by it. Whatever this gentleman, the first guy named here, who is talking about there is no Sharia law book, but they have some laws written in the air. He told us that in his school of thought, they teach him to live by the law of the land which he live in. We have to understand that there are four major school of thoughts in the Sunni beliefs. There are two major school of thought in the Shia belief. There are plenty of other ones smaller, but nobody really follow any of these small ones. It's like denomination. How many denominations in Islam? We have Catholic and Baptist and Presbyterian and Lutheran. So it's the same in Islam. Now, these six major school of thought, not one of them teach its followers to believe and practice the Sharia of the law of the law of the land where the people live. Not one. I challenge him or any Muslim in America to show me what book he's talking about. What mazhab he's talking about from which they taught them to live in America obeying the law of the United States of America. This is pure lie from the bottom of hell. It's a sacred law, and here is the source of these laws. 2 books. The first book is the Qur'an. The second book is the book of Hadith. Qur'an is the word of Allah. Hadith is the saying of Muhammad. In the Hadith also we learn about the Sunnah of Muhammad. How Muhammad lived his life. And that's exactly what Muslims need to follow. When you read the Quran and you read the Hadith, my dear friends, you'll learn about do or don't. Do this or don't do that. And if you obey the do's and the don'ts, you receive the blessing. If you disobey them, you receive the curse, the punishment. And that's what Sharia is all about. We're not making it up from our head. It is what is written in the 2 most holy books. The Quran, Allah's words, and the Hadith, Muhammad's words. Now, Mr. Nabil, another gentleman in that meeting, he's from Egypt, he added a little bit more information about Sharia. So listen carefully to what he said about Sharia.
But for the certain things that human beings need guidance, there are some rules, and they are so flexible, they can, use to apply to any place at any time, because things change during ancient times until now.
A man who talks too many words, he does not know how to say it clearly to the American people. American people, don't be nervous. Relax. Our rules are flexible. They can easily apply in America. That's what he's trying to tell his audience. But he ran out of words how to say it. Why they are flexible? Because things change. You see, in Muhammad days, they used to ride camels, and camels go 16, 17 miles an hour. Now we have cars go 216 miles an hour. So because things change, Allah made His rules flexible. Sharia is flexible. Don't be alarmed. You will love it in America. Really. Really. Well, let's move on to learn a little bit more about Sharia.
Sharia cannot be improved, reformed, or changed because it is based on the Qur'an and Sunna, which Muslims believe is perfect, eternal, universal, and complete.
It's not flexible because it cannot be reformed. The word of Allah cannot be reformed. The saying of Muhammad in the Hadith cannot be reformed. It is not like what the liberals want to teach us, the Christian, about Sharia. I love it how liberals in America love to defend Islam all the time. Well, don't forget, Christianity has been reformed 500 years ago. Martin Luther and all the other people. No, Martin Luther did not reform Christianity. Martin Luther reformed the church which had left Christianity. You cannot reform the Bible as much as you cannot reform the Quran or the words of Muhammad in the Hadith. So the idea that there are moderate Muslims in America, like Zudi Yasser and others, they call themselves Muslim reformer, that is propaganda. That is actually the worst thing could ever happen to America. Because if I can convince you of my Islam, the moderate Islam, the reform Islam, the loving, peaceful Islam, you will continue to have me and my people in your country. And we will continue to build mosques in America. And we'll continue to run for every important office in America. And when the right time comes and we have the upper hand, we will have true reformation to Islam. Which means what? We go back to the written word of Allah in the Quran and the commands of Muhammad in the Hadith. And then it's too late for your grandchildren to fix it. Because the poison or the cancer spread all over America. Let's move on. This is a wonderful statement from Julani Hussein to teach the same thing which Mr. Nabil is telling us.
In fact, most Muslim scholars in the world today would identify and say America has more principles that adhere to Sharia than in most Muslim majority countries. Jelani Hussein, Executive Director of CARE of Minnesota.
Can you imagine with me that we can easily practice Sharia in America than that which Muslims are trying to do in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or Bangladesh or Afghanistan or Indonesia or any of these Muslim majority country. This is not just lies, my friend. This is lies from the bottom of hell, and only American naive, stupid, useful idiot can believe it. And when Mr. Julani Hussein said that in his meeting, all the people clapped hands and so happy. He actually repeated the statement, make sure that everybody got it. Because he got some bunch of naive idiots listen to him. Let's learn a little bit more about Sharia.
Sharia cannot be amended to conform to changing human values and standards. Rather, it is the absolute norm to which all human values and conduct must conform.
So if you are a fast driver and you like to go 15, 20 miles over the speed limit and the cop stop you to give you a ticket, you cannot tell the cop, would you please change the number on the sign from 45 to 65? No, you need to change to follow Sharia, no Sharia change to satisfy your desires.
Any system of man-made law is considered illicit under Islamic law, for whose adherence Allah already has provided the only law permitted. Sharia, Islam, and Western-style democracy can never coexist in harmony.
This is what is written by Muslim scholars. This is what is taught in the Azhar University. This is what Sharia is all about. But the American people, especially the dumb, naive, liberal Democrat, they could not see anything wrong with Islam. They allow Muslims to run for office, and they were very happy to have them swear on the Quran, the source of Sharia, to hold that office. Every time I see a Muslim man or woman raise his hand and put his hand on the Quran, I say, goodbye, America. If the American people just can read what is written in the Quran, which that man or that woman are swearing on, you should never allow that people to walk or breathe air inside America. But what we say, Hosea 4:6 is true. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We have no clue what is in Sharia because we never read the book of Sharia, the original books of Sharia, which is the Quran, Allah's word, and the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith.
Sovereignty in Islam is the prerogative of Almighty Allah alone. He is the absolute arbiter of values, and it is His will that determines good and evil, right and wrong.
This is written from England, coming to us from England in 2003. You could not hear that in England 50 years ago or even 40 years ago. Now they are teaching it everywhere because England went goodbye. So is the rest of many of the European countries. Why? Because Muslims no longer have the small number, but they're actually getting to some places 12, 13, 14%. When Muslims reach up to 5.5%, you kiss that community where Muslims live goodbye. Because like it or not, they're going to practice Sharia in this land. Allah is sovereign. Allah knows what is right. He gave you the best laws, and it is good for you if you just believe it and live by it.
Sharia guides all aspects of Muslim life: politics, daily routines, foods, clothing, sports, family and religion obligations, financial dealings, punishments, military, and importantly, how to deal with non-Muslims, infidels.
That is like you and I. As a matter of fact, that is what we cover in our presentation to prove to you our point. Using their book, The Reliance of the Traveler, Sharia is a Sharia book in America, which is written in Arabic and in English. I believe, deep in my heart, that every legislator in America should or must read that book, The Reliance of the Traveler. So he knows what kind of Muslims are bringing to their party to make laws for us. Sharia covers everything about Muslim man or woman life. It goes like that. Before a man make love to his wife to produce a baby, they have a special prayer. When that baby grow up and get old and die of old age and bury him or her in the dirt, and after they cover them with dirt, they have another special prayer. And Sharia covers everything between the first prayer and the last prayer. All aspects of Muslims' life, as you have read here in this slide. Let me give you a good example. I will answer all your questions in the end. I'll give you a chance to talk in the end. Let me give you a good example about Sharia in Islam. When we pray, we go to the church or the synagogue and pray. Muslims, no. They have a special tradition of washing, cleansing. When you go to the mosque now, in the fancy mosque, there are beautiful carpet with lines, straight lines. Around the Kaaba, beautiful circle lines. And people, when stand up here in America, they have to pray facing Mecca. Doesn't make any sense because the earth is not flat. If you are here right now in the state of, where are we at? Florida, and you're facing towards the east, you're not praying towards Mecca, you're actually praying out in the space towards maybe Mars or some other thing there. But that's okay. They stand up straight line facing Mecca. Why they stand up in straight line? You notice when they stand in line, they go like this, and they look on the right hand, look on the left hand, make sure they are in the straight line. Why is they doing that? Because according to Sharia, if one of the people in that line is one step ahead or one step behind on the line, the prayer of all these people in one line unheard by Allah. You have to be perfect line. And as they stand and pray, they have special movement. Allahu Akbar, Sami Allahu liman hamdahu, and they have memorized verses, memorized words. They repeat it. As he go down to put his hand and feet and head on the ground, one of these Muslim men or women, in the case of the ladies in the back there, some separate room, ahdatha. What is ahdatha? Let's learn a little bit more about Sharia. Here we go.
Narrated by Abu Hurairah. The Prophet said, Allah does not accept prayer of any one of you if he does hadath, passes wind, till he performs the ablution anew.
So while he or she bending down, standing up, they pass gas, now we have to ask two very important questions. Question number one, did it make a sound? No, it did not make a sound, so we're good. So far was good. Did it have a smell? Yes, it did have a smell. Then you need to go back to the bathroom and wash and come back to pray. That's how serious Sharia is. In details. And they're trying to tell us in America that it's very flexible and it can be practiced. No, it is not. And if I have time, I can give you a few hundred examples to know about Sharia, but we'll move on because of our time.
Traditional Muslims who understand the Quran and the Hadith believe that Sharia Islamic law expresses the highest and best goals for all societies on earth. It is the law of Allah and bound to be the best of all.
It is the best for you, American people, if you just submit and allow us to force Sharia over you and your children. It will make the whole world live in peace. It is the best for you, even if you do not like it. As Allah stated in the Quran, war is decreed to you, and it is the best for you, even if you hate to do it. I'm going to share with you a couple of videos quickly. One from Minnesota, the other one from New York, to learn about Muslim opinion of Sharia when we compare it to our Constitution, and in this first one, where Muslim people love to live.
If you're living in the U.S., would you prefer to live under U.S. law or Sharia law? Well, you think the answer was pretty obvious, but that's not what one filmmaker discovered on the streets of Minnesota.
Do you feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law.
I'm a Muslim, I prefer Sharia law. You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah.
Would you prefer to live in America or prefer to live in Somalia? Would you rather live in America or live in Somalia?
I would rather live in Somalia.
You prefer to live in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
The vast majority of young people who I asked would rather live in Somalia or in Saudi Arabia as opposed to the United States. It blew me away. So there's something about this pool of immigrants that has become very, very problematic for our country and for Western countries in general.
They prefer Sharia over our Constitution. Not only in Minnesota, that is in the 50 states of the United States of America. That is all Muslims who live in America. They're here, but they prefer Sharia over our Constitution. I love it how this young little boy here, he said he preferred to live in Saudi Arabia. He had zero chance to be in Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia never opened their border for any Muslims to go there as refugees. Why? Because we got enough dumb Americans who would like to have no border at all. Or if they have borders, they would love to bring Muslim refugees to America. Why? Because they just add the word refugees to the Muslims. Because in reality, they're not bringing Muslim refugees to America. They're just bringing Muslims to America. Because if we want to bring refugees to America, there are plenty of millions of Christians who are true refugees. We ought to bring them to America. Those who are killed by the Muslims whom we are bringing to America as refugees. You got my point? I hope you do. His mama, or the other lady, she said she preferred to live in Somalia. Why we are forcing the people of Somalia to live in Minnesota and in Maine and many states all over this country? Let them go back to Somalia, please, and give each and every family $1 million cash. That's plenty of millions of dollars of their money, of their country, and it'll be much cheaper in the long run. Trust me.
Because of this ardent belief, devout and fundamental Muslims all over the world are in constant struggle, jihad, with their ruling governments to establish Islamic Sharia as the country's only rule by replacing modern secular democracy, man-made laws, with Sharia, Allah's law.
This is the problem we have in Egypt. By the way, there was another video, it's cut off for the sake of time. Go online and watch the presentation, as I have given some other churches in links. But because of this belief that Allah is sovereign, Sharia is the best thing for the world, Muslim Brotherhood, an example in Egypt, for over 105 or 6 years, they were trying to force Sharia over the Egyptian. And they were able to take over Egypt a few years ago, 6 years ago, by the help of Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. And after they took my country over by 1 year, we as Egyptians were able to remove them from power. Do you know the people who were running for this office, from the president of Egypt to all the mayors and governors and Congress and senators, most of them are right now in prison? Think with me, just close your eyes and think. We got 435 congressmen and women in America. We'll put 50% of them in prison. Wow. What a great day this will be. And so is the senators, because Muslims came and they took over our country and they tried to force Sharia in rush. They were rushing to do that. They confessed it later that they made a mistake. They said they should or they ought to do it slowly so the Egyptian people can accept it. That is the biggest mistake they did, not because they were teaching or they were forcing savage law over the Egyptian, but because they rushed into it. They wish they had taken their time to do it slowly.
Each and every law in the Sharia can be traced back to the Qur'an and Sunna. Once the person buys into the Qur'an and the Sunna, the Sharia is just a step away.
You cannot find a Muslim in the world who will confess openly that the Quran is not the word of Allah. Sooner or later, all Muslims will accept Sharia, like it or not, because all of them, after all, believe in the Quran. The opposite is true in Christianity. If we go to Europe today, 95% of those who call Christian ministers do not believe in the Bible. They believe in some portion of the Bible, but that's not the case in Islam. Muslims believe in the Quran. All what the Muslim believers, whom we call in America radical or extremists, all what they do is just convince the Muslim followers that this Sharia comes from the Quran. They will say, do you believe in the Quran? Yeah. Then you have to accept Sharia. Sooner or later, the Muslim world will be united in accepting the Islamic law.
Muslims claim that they are to abide by the laws of the land, but if that is really the case, why are CARE leaders so upset when states vote or declare that they will not allow foreign rules of law, like Sharia, to coexist in their courts? Some liberal politicians are also advocating for Sharia.
And we got their names, and we got the pictures, and we got the video, and we got the votes to prove it. We're not making up stuff here. I'm talking about the liberals of America. You're Democrats. Now, if you talk to any of the members of CARE, if you brought a member of CARE from Orlando area to come to speak to you here, he will tell you, I am against Sharia. I am anti-Sharia. I don't want to have Sharia. If anybody want to have Sharia, they can go to Saudi Arabia. I love America. I love American Constitution. I love American law, and that's why I'm here. So are you serious? He said, yeah. Would you please sign this petition to say no Sharia in the state of Florida? No, he will never do that. She will never do that. As a matter of fact, their action is much greater than their talk. Let me prove my point to you. For example, in the state of Oklahoma, 2010, that's 9 years ago, they voted on it, not to allow Sharia to be practiced in the state of Oklahoma. And 70% of the people of Oklahoma said no for Sharia. I spoke in Oklahoma just a couple of weeks after this vote passed. And they were so happy and they clapped hands. They said, hey, Brother Usama, we stopped the Muslim from practicing Sharia in the state of Oklahoma. And I said, shame on you. What is wrong with that? I said, shame on you. What do you mean? I said 70% said no for Sharia, which means 30% said yes for Sharia. And there's only 0.5% of the people who live in Oklahoma who are Muslims. Where in the world the other 29.5% came from? They're your Democrat, the liberals, who hate American Constitution, and they would like to replace it by anything else just to get rid of it. But then,
a federal judge in Oklahoma on Monday barred the implementation of a ballot initiative passed by 70% of voters in Oklahoma that would have forbidden state courts from considering Sharia law in their decisions.
And they tell me in America, the president is only have the power to rule the country for 4 or 8 years. No, all what the judge will do, all what the president will do, as Mr. Bill Clinton did, hire a liberal lady who will meet with the Council on America-Islamic Relation Care, and she will turn the vote over, which means all those people who voted no for Sharia, their vote went in somehow in a trash can in Oklahoma, and Muslims today can practice Sharia Islamic law in the state of Oklahoma. See how powerful judges are? And that lady will serve as a judge for the rest of her life until when she can no longer walk or talk. She will continue to vote for the good of CARE, the Council on Islamic Relationship in America and the Muslims in America. But what did CARE do here? CARE say, we don't want to have Sharia, but CARE stopped the state of Oklahoma from practicing the law of the United States of America because they want them in the future to exchange it for Sharia. Let's move on to the next slide. Another case where CARE shows us that they are actually for Sharia, not for our Constitution.
In June of 2011, a Bay Area Muslim woman sued Abercrombie & Fitch, claiming that the clothing retailer fired her when she refused to remove her religious headscarf while working at a San Mateo store. Hani Khan, age 20, sued after the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission determined that the chain had wrongfully fired her. Settlement talks failed to resolve the dispute. Khan was fired in 2010 from Abercrombie's Hollister Company store in the Hillsdale Mall in San Mateo for refusing to remove her hijab or headscarf, according to the suit her attorneys filed in federal court in San Francisco.
And to make the long story short, the Council on America-Islamic Relations CARE got involved in the case. She made $3.5 million because of one coward leader of a company. Just after that, plenty of Muslim lady in hijab working plenty of businesses all over America. All it takes is Muslims, CARE or other, win one case, and everybody will learn the lesson. If she want to wear the hijab, man, don't even bother. Let her wear the hijab. Let's move from a business to the state, like maybe in Alabama.
After its decision to ban women from wearing a hijab for driver's license photos triggered a backlash among American Muslims, the state of Alabama backtracked on the measure Friday, February 20th. Muslim women had appealed to Alabama state officials to reconsider the ban in January, while the Washington-based Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, issued an alert against the measure.
And guess what? After they won the case in Alabama, they won it nationwide, all over the 50 states of the United States of America. Here we go.
New at 6 tonight, the Division of Motor Vehicles will no longer require Muslims, Sikhs, and others to remove their religious head coverings to get their driver's license photos taken. This comes after complaints that the DMV was violating their religious rights.
There is now agreement between state and federal authorities on this matter. CBS4 investigator Rick Salinger has the new information right now from a DMV office in Denver. Rick?
Jim, the regulations were written by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, but interpreted by the Division of Motor Vehicles. Now there is agreement that perhaps they have been interpreting that too strictly. In the Sikh religion, removal of the turban in public is forbidden.
Good. In the Sikh religion, there is no cars or airplane to fly. Therefore, ride your camel and live however you want to live, according to the Sikh religion. It is forbidden for him to take this hat off. Sorry, that fit with the life where the Sikhs started. Not in America, 2019. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Let's continue.
The Colorado Division of Motor Vehicles started requiring that for driver's license photos.
I immediately contacted the Department of Justice to let them know that this incident had just happened at the Department of Motor Vehicles.
The Sikhs were not the only ones to complain. Amatullah Malki, a Muslim, was asked to put her headscarf behind her ears in order to have her learner's permit photo taken.
I came home and I was like feeling really bad, like, why would they make me do that? Why are they like trying to take pieces away from me? This is like my identity.
Oh, her ears is her identity. They're taking it away by taking a picture of her ears. Excuse me, honey, we call it picture ID because we need to know you and know everything about your identity from that picture, including your ears, including your eyes, your nose, everything about you. Driving in America is not right, it's a privilege. You guys don't understand the difference between right and privilege to the point that every privilege now become right to the liberals and to the Muslims. Privilege. You have to follow the rules. First of all, you need to know how to drive. You have to obey the speed limit, the red light, the stop sign, all these rules. If you break any of these rules, we can take your driver's license away from you. It's not your rights. It's called picture ID. I really need to see your ears in the picture. Well, I don't want to show you my ears. That's fine. We'll buy you a first class one-way ticket to Saudi Arabia. We're there. You cannot drive a vehicle, period. No, they changed the law. They changed the law in Saudi Arabia. Now women can't drive in Saudi Arabia. Are you out of your mind? Did you read the law? If. It's a very small but very important word, if. If the father or the husband said it's okay for his wife or his daughter to drive a car, which father, which husband who gives okay? Trust me, if they allow the ladies in Saudi Arabia to drive a car, it will be the only country male without females. They're all going to get out of the country. Here's her husband.
No, I'm not in America, so I basically told them you need to go back next day and challenge that.
Regulations for driver's license.
She challenged it and they give her the driver's license. And believe it or not, now it is the law of the United States of America in the 50 states of the United States of America that women can have a picture in hijab. I know this is here in Florida. Believe it or not, that's a driver's license in Florida. A real driver's license, that's not a fake one. And they give the good excuse. This was before September 11, and they did not know about the importance of showing the whole face. So the law now is she have to show forehead, her chin, but no ears. That is the law in the United States of America. How about this one? Oh, that was a weird one. The person who did this driver's license need to be not fired, need to be put in prison. How about this one? Oh, this is in Canada. That is April 23, 2009. Literally 8 years after September 11. And trust me, if it is in Canada in the year 9, it will be in America 21. All what you need to do in America is just find yourself a good liberal president. And that will be the case of every lady driving a car in America if she have Muslim background. And they will prove it to you in a court of law. That woman can drive much better than most of the people who live in Florida, especially when you pass 85, 90. They will tell you, we have thousands and thousands of old people in Florida who drive in a car. They should never sit in a car. That woman can see by her 2 eyes, and she drives carefully, and she will pass any test. So drive next to her. You don't need to show your face to drive a car. Oh, what you need are your eyes. Are you going to are you going to drive by your nose or by your ears? No, you need your eyes. She can see very well like that. But we have a problem, and the problem is in this video.
Authorities in the United Arab Emirates are investigating the brutal killing of an American school teacher in an Abu Dhabi shopping mall. Police say the woman was stabbed inside a public restroom by a suspect wearing a traditional black robe and a Muslim veil. Now CNN's Becky Anderson joins us live from Abu Dhabi. Hi there, Becky. There's video of the attacker, but that still doesn't give away much detail as to who it is. Even basic questions about whether it's a man or a woman.
Correct, absolutely. What I'm about to show you, Robin, is CCTV footage of a person police here in Abu Dhabi say is the suspect in the stabbing of an American school teacher in a restroom in what is a high-end...
دخول المشتبه بها/به. We do not know if that person is a he or a she. That's what I'm trying to teach you, American people, before it's too late. How do you know if it is a he or a she with that clause?
Miles from where we are here. Now, these images, released in the past couple of hours or so by the Ministry of Information, a suspect entering the facility from an underground car park sometime before the incident. The figures you see, fully covered, wearing an abaya, black gloves and a face cover, or niqab as it's known locally. Now, next scene, coming out of this elevator and talking, it appears, to a security guard to the right of your screens. And this is what happens next. It moves into the restrooms, which are seen here on your right. And just underneath the words that you've got on our screen here is a time check. It's 90 seconds later that this happens. She emerges, or he emerges, running to the elevator, followed by others, before another clip shows the person leaving the mall through the same underground parking lot doors. Now, before I show you the scene inside the restroom, I advise you these next images are very disturbing, because it was here that a 47-year-old American mother of 11-year-old twins was stabbed, apparently with what looks like a kitchen at a local hospital. And we're working on this as...
You got my point? It is not for American to allow people to wear hijab anywhere, not on the picture ID, anywhere. If Muslims come into America, want to wear the hijab, with all respect, we'll put them on any plane of their choice, first class, one way back to where they come from. Why? Because I don't want my daughter, I don't want my wife to be killed by a Muslim man dressed in a hijab. Period. Or just, if you want to follow Islam all the way, follow the Quran. Sharia said in Quran chapter 33 and verse 33 for women to stay at home. If they are inside their homes, they can be even naked and nobody will see them. Stay at their houses, Allah said in the Quran. They don't need to be in the street as they don't want to wear the hijab in America. Now it's up to you. You live with your freedom, or live terrorized the rest of your life until you beg the Muslims, please don't kill my wife, please don't kill my daughter, or rape my wife, or rape my daughter, because that's the best way to kill and never get caught. A Muslim man dressed like hijab, he can rape as many women as he can, and you never catch him, especially when you have hundreds of them, or thousands of them, in the hijab, in any community. That's exactly how they do it in Europe.
All Sharia is based upon dividing all actions into forbidden, haram, and permitted, halal.
It is forbidden for a woman in Islam not only to show her face, but actually to talk, because her voice is an awra. Awra is equal to the word her private parts. Her voice equal to her breast or her vagina. She should never talk. That's Sharia, that is Islam. It's forbidden for you ladies sit with us in this room, men and women sit next to each other. That's forbidden. It's so much about Islam is forbidden, you have no clue. It's forbidden in Islam for a Christian to say that he worshipped Jesus Christ. That is the worst sin you can ever commit. That's why they burn churches all over Africa, in Nigeria, where hundreds of Christians inside it worshiping. Yeah, we heard about the Sri Lanka bombing and 8 bombings, 3 churches, 337, I believe, died so far. Have you heard about the 3,743 Christians killed in Nigeria last year alone? That's not important for you to know. We don't want to scare you. We don't want to upset you. They are burning churches because it is forbidden, it is haram to worship Jesus Christ in Islam. And the punishment of it is burning the church to the ground and the Christian who worship Jesus in it. It is the worst sin, the sin of shirk. You know who's teaching that? Muslim imams in America. I got a video to play it for you in English, in case you maybe think I'm falsely translating their teaching. It is the worst sin. Your wife and your daughter is lawful for me to take, to rape, to have as a slave to sell to somebody else simply because you worship Jesus Christ. Or simply because you do not accept Muhammad as a final prophet. That is Sharia. That is Islam. Is that acceptable in America?
The most complete, concise source book for Sharia Islamic law is Umdat al-Sarif, or Reliance of the Traveler, compiled by Ahmad ibn Nikib al-Misri. This classic manual of Islamic sacred law was translated into English by Nahamian Keller in 1991. It covers legalities and theology. The Sharia is organized in an outline form and is referenced by divisions, sections, and subsections.
1,232 pages. For our dumb, stupid legislators to read. That's Republican and dumb Democrat. I'm going to give you some examples. I'm not going to share Sharia with you tonight. As I said, I'm hoping to catch you for another whatever minutes you allow me to cover at least the first quarter of this seminar, okay? If I can get to the first quarter, I'll be happy. Some example from that book. When I say from that book, I mean from that book. You go in the top corner, 08.0. Up here, here it is. I don't know how to type English good, so I have a lot of it. So we copy and paste for you American people to see a good example of Sharia. Here we go.
Apostasy from Islam. Leaving Islam is the ugliest form of unbelief and the worst. When a person who has reached puberty and is sane, he deserves to be.
Muslim live in America because of freedom of religion. Why Muslim build a mosque in America? Because freedom of religion. Why Muslim running for every office in America? Because freedom of religion. We believe that Islam is a religion, but the reality Islam is a savage cult. Does not allow freedom of religion. You leave Islam, we'll kill you. Son or daughter, we'll kill you. That's the reality of Islam. This is Sharia. That is what is taught by Allah in the Qur'an and Muhammad in the Hadith. Wait a minute. Maybe this book here, The Reliance of the Traveler, is actually a book written by radicals. No, it's a book taught by the Azhar University. There is not one Muslim imam in America, those who wear suits and ties or others. All Muslim imams studied that book and passed that book to be imams. They are very familiar with that book. They memorize that book. And other books, of course. So you leave Islam, we'll kill you. And to prove to you that these are not radical, but that is actually the word of Allah and the saying of Muhammad in the Hadith, which I told you earlier. Sharia is the don'ts and do's of the Quran, Allah's word, and Muhammad saying in the Hadith, including his Sunnah, how he lived his life. Let's go to Quran chapter 6 and verse 151 and learn about Muslims leaving Islam.
And do not kill the soul which Allah forbids, except with a just cause.
What is the soul which Allah forbids to kill? It's the Muslim soul. When can we kill a Muslim soul? In 3 cases. Says who? Says Muhammad. Second important source of Sharia. Here it is. Listen.
Muhammad said, the blood of a Muslim cannot be shed except in 3 cases: for murder, adultery, and the one who becomes an apostate or leaves Islam.
You commit murder, that's killing a Muslim. You commit adultery, or you apostate, you leave Islam. These are the just three just cases for Muslims to kill you. Even if a mufti said you should not be killed, I'm going to kill you anyway because Allah said so. Because Muhammad said so. So if Muslims today are killing their own children from leaving Islam, what do you think will stop them tomorrow from killing your children for not accepting Islam? Because the same sets of rules. The same rules said kill your daughter or your son if they leave Islam, said also you kill infidels if they do not accept Islam. All right, let's go on. What about the punishment for those who commit such murder? Okay, retaliation, okay? Retaliation.
The following are not subject to retaliation. A Muslim for killing a non-Muslim, a father or mother, or their fathers and mothers for killing an offspring, or offspring's offspring.
So whenever a Christian is killed in Egypt, the Muslims who kill him never been put to death. Since when? since Islam started 1400 years ago. Literally, we have thousands. When we capture those who kill them, and they're good Muslim believers, the Sharia teaches never to kill one of them. Or if I kill my daughter or my granddaughter or even my parents or my grandparents because they became a Christian, and I stand up in a court of law, and the sheikh, the judge of that case, will say, did you kill your grandchildren? Yes, Your Honor, I did. Why did you kill them? Well, they apostate. They left Islam. They became a Christian. Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Ali. Now you can go home. This is Sharia, America. Is this flexible enough for you to allow Muslims to run for office in this country? You really must be stupid. Let's move on. Let's move on.
The law goes on in great detail about what acts entail leaving Islam. This includes being sarcastic about Allah's name or reviling Allah or His Messenger.
That's exactly what I do. That's what I do for a living. And that is 08.7 in that book. I'm not making it up. 13 point number 2. Book. If somebody liberal here tonight, you want to argue with me, open the book and read it. A Muslim teach in America, in Islam, you cannot be married against your will. You have to say, I do, with your free will. In Islam, a wife can choose her husband. In Islam, a wife can divorce her husband. In Islam, a wife can do that. I said, whoa, I wish I was a woman so I can join Islam. But in reality, always they teach about Islam and women in America is nothing but a bunch of lies. Get my DVD, Women in Islam. A good 2-hour video will blow your brain. How in the world they can teach that in our colleges, in our university all over America, when it is the opposite of what is written in Sharia? What is the age of marriage in Islam? Can you guess it for me? What is the age in marriage in Islam? Come on, give me an answer. Ladies, come on. What? 6, 9, 8. Let me save you time. How about after birth? After birth. If a mama have a baby and they look at the baby sexual part, oh, it's a vagina. Now she can be married to any man at any age. Now she cannot have sex with that husband until she turns between 8 and 9. Between 8. Here we go. Let me get it from their own books.
Islamic marriage minimum age for marriage contract, and the consummation may take place when the girl is at 8 or 9.
Can this be practiced in America? Guess what? It will be. Just give Muslims the right time and the right places, and they will be practicing that in America. Now, with you what I said, literally what I said 20 years ago in America. 22 years ago in America. I said, the day is coming and men will rape your children, your little children, not your wives, not your women. You ladies can defend yourself. I'm talking about your daughters or your granddaughters, the 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 years old. Oh, maybe because this has just happened in Egypt. This is happening in Saudi Arabia or in Indonesia or Afghanistan. No, that's happening in England. In England. And what's so amazing is the same thing is happening in America. It's the same thing is happening in England. That the British policemen and the British media are defending the Muslims. And if somebody tells the truth, he or she immediately Islamophobic and teaching Islamophobia. Wow. Let's watch this video together.
Now another town this week joined the list of shame where sex gangs have roamed seemingly unchecked to drown girls. Raping, drugging, beating, trafficking, and potentially even murdering them in the process. What's happened in Telford could be the worst case of a paedophile gang involved in widespread child abuse the country has ever seen. But as I read the names of those convicted, something struck me. In Telford they included Azir Ali Mahmoud, Mubarak Ali, and Adel Ali. In a similar case in Rotherham, Razwan Razan, Adil Hussein, and Zafran Ramzan were among the guilty. To Rochdale now, Mohammed Amin, Abdul Aziz, and Mohammed Sajid, and others were convicted. And now to Oxford, where it was Anjab Bilgar, Kamir Jamil, and Zishan Ahmed ending up behind bars. Now, a very broad reckoning of the guilty shows around 80% are men of Pakistani and Bangladeshi origin. What is their community doing about it?
Yeah, this is a tragedy that's been going on up and down the country, and unfortunately, the police and local councils have been complicit in covering up this scandal.
What's this?
British, Pakistani and Bangladeshi South Asian Muslim men like me have been involved in grooming underage white girls and targeting sexual assault. And for fear of racism, the local politicians for fear of losing votes, and the police for fear of being sacked by those local politicians have been hiding this situation. And of course, then it led to a national inquiry. We know that because the conclusions of the national inquiry were the same. I'm going to read to you something because Telford could well be worse, or happening rather than Rochdale. And yet still, despite that, we have the superintendent for Telford and Wrecking, Tom Harding, saying the following. He said that what I would say is sexual offending across Telford and Wrecking is virtually, it's not one particular section over others. Forgive the language, the French, but this is total BS, because he's confusing two types of sexual offences. We as Queen looked into this, and I'm going to come to the stats in a second.
You've done a lot of broadcasting. You're in this area, right? So salute what you've done.
Thank you. Type 1 is the grooming of underage white girls, or any girl generally is type 1 as a category, the grooming of underage girls by gangs of men. Now in type 1, where the grooming gangs are involved, it was found in our research that we found, and we put this up on the screen for you, that 84% of those involved in type 1, which is gang grooming of underage girls, were, when it says they're South Asian, to be specific, they were Pakistani and Bangladeshi Muslims, right? Type 2, which is, I hate to use the phrase ordinary paedophilia, what we normally understand by the word paedophilia, is representative of wider society. So one statistic found it was about 87% in type 2, which is paedophiles, 87% were white. Another found 100% were white. But of course, that's not surprising because the vast majority of the country is white. What's interesting is the disproportionate figure of 84% hailing from my background. Why that's interesting is because roughly only 2% of the country are Pakistani and Bangladeshi Muslim men who are responsible for 84% of collective grooming of underage white girls.
And you know what's this guy? He's not a Christian. He's not a Jew. He's a Muslim. And because he believes he is a moderate Muslim, or because he have in his head that he is going to reform Islam, which is good luck with that, he was able to say that in England. And because he said that, the Southern Poverty Law Center called him a hate minister. They put him on the same list, which my name is honored to be written. The only difference between him and I is two. Number one, he did not tell the whole truth about the pedophilia lifestyle according to Sharia. Number two, he's rich. He was able to sue the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and he was able to make $3.6 million. If I got a nice lawyer who will take my case, he can make the same amount of money. It's the same case. The Southern Poverty Law Center not only put me as a target for Muslims to hunt me down, they cost me a lot of financial trouble. I used to receive money from different places. Now I can no longer get it because I am a hate ministry. But number two is he actually gave my address to the whole Muslim world to know where I live. So now they can go and bomb my house anytime. I have a strong lawsuit against them, but I'm still looking for a lawyer. But here's what he missed to tell the British people, that the pedophilia they are living right now with Muslims literally raping the little children. It is taught and practiced by Muhammad, which make it Islamic law, Qur'an and Hadith and Sunnah. It's okay for me to rape your little children. As a matter of fact, it's okay for me to rape you, ladies, even if you're married, according to the word of Allah in the Quran. And that is Sharia. You may think I'm making this up. No. I'm not making this up. Let's listen about Muhammad from the Hadith and Sunnah.
Aisha said,
The Prophet, peace be upon him, married me when I was 6 years old, and he had sex with me when I was 9 years old.
And he died when she was 18 years old. Muhammad died at the age of 63. And guess what? That made him 51 when he married her. He was 51 and she was 6. What to a 6-year-old child. A pedophile. Thank you so much. So stop calling him Prophet Muhammad. You're people to allow this to be even written in any textbooks in America. Prophet Muhammad this, Prophet Muhammad that. Go on Fox News. Prophet Muhammad this. Go on CNN. Prophet Muhammad that. Stop calling a pedophile a prophet, because the moment you call Muhammad a prophet, that is the moment you deny everything about Jesus and Christianity. Because that prophet said Jesus is not the Son of God, and that prophet said he never died on the cross. You just celebrate nothing last week. Thank you. He played with Aisha for 3 years. Muhammad Sunnah, how he lived his life, he actually had her with him between the age of 6 and 9, playing with her sexually without having intercourse, because he's a man of self-control. At the age of 9, and he was 54, that's when he literally abused her sexually. Now let's go to the Quran, because maybe think it's just Muhammad. No, it's also the Quran. In the book of divorce, Quran chapter 65, verse 4, we read the following.
And for those of your women who despair of menstruation, if you doubt that they may be pregnant, their prescribed waiting time is 3 months, as well as for those who have not yet begun menstruation.
What are we talking about? If I'm married to my wife, and she is in her late 40s, and I divorce her, well, she cannot be married to another husband unless 3 months go by first. Why? Because maybe she's pregnant by me. And the child, according to Sharia, belongs to the daddy, not to your white ladies or American black ladies. When you marry a Muslim man, your children are not yours, they're his. If I am married to a little child who have not yet begun menstruation, she did not have her first period yet, 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, and I divorce that little child of mine, my wife, she cannot be re-abused by another husband unless 3 months go by. Why? Because what if she's pregnant by me? Which means Allah Almighty in the Quran, the source of Sharia, is giving the Muslim man right to sexually involve with their little wife who did not have their first period yet. Welcome to Sharia. It's very flexible. We easily can practice it in America. M6.75.
It is not lawful or valid for a Muslim man to be married to a woman who is not either a Muslim, Christian, or is it lawful or valid for a Muslim woman to be married to anyone besides a Muslim?
That Muslim imam said in the meeting, I'm lying. He loved Christians to the point that he is even married to a good Catholic wife. I said, you are married to a Catholic wife? A Christian lady? He said, yeah. See, you didn't even know that. How can you tell me I don't take her as friend if I love her? She's my wife. Sir. Citizen yet? What? I said, are you a citizen yet? Reason number one, why Muslim marry Muslim ladies is to become citizen. He never answers the question because guess what? He was not a citizen yet. But then I asked, daughter, can I marry your sister? I, as a Christian, can I marry a Muslim female anywhere on planet Earth? The answer is no. So it's not love. It is invasion. It is an invasion of the American. Do you know that every year we bring to the America over 100,000 Muslim students, and those students never leave America because they fall in love with your daughters and your granddaughters, and they marry them and raise Muslim babies? Do you know that? You don't know that. If it is love, and a Muslim man can marry a Christian or Jewish lady, why can't a Jewish and a Christian man marry a Muslim lady? It's invasion. That's the reality of Islam. I don't have to even marry you, ladies. If I kidnap you, I have the right to enjoy you sexually. Says who? Says Allah Almighty in the Quran. Quran 4:24.
Accept all that your right hand possesses. This is the decree of Allah for you. And it is lawful to you, besides this, to seek out women with your money. Chase.
You live in London, or you live in anywhere in Belgium or in Sweden, and you see this beautiful lady walk in the street. She is halfway drunk or maybe get herself a shot in her arm of heroin or cocaine and she's a little bit dizzy, sweetheart, come to my car. She go to your car, take her to your home. You and your 7, 10 buddies have sex with her all night long, couple days, 3 days, and throw her in the street. That's not rape. That is the law in the Quran. Well, she's married. I don't care, married or not. It is the practice of Allah. Or you just find yourself a prostitute. And whatever you enjoy by it, that's the private part of the females. From them, these are the females, so gives them their wages. Whatever you enjoy by it, their vagina, from them, the females, so gives them their wages. Marriage for fun. Muhammad allow Muslim to practice that. Marriage for fun. So you can go online right now. I'm not making this up. Go online, if you have a smartphone right now, and look for marriage for fun. Zawaj al-mut'ah. And you show a video. A man in Iraq, a man in the country of Iran, Shia practice that. 20% of the Muslims practice that. And Muhammad himself and his followers did practice that. And they say, I would like to marry. So what kind of marriage? For fun, for sure. How much you want? Well, how many days? I want to marry you for 2 hours. Oh, 2 hours? Why not a couple of days? Okay, couple of days. How much? 50 dinar. No, for 150 dinar. And they negotiate the price, and she say, I accept, and she go with him in his place, and they had sex for 2 days, and it's marriage. Holy marriage. Sharia. We're going to close with this few slides here. I'm almost done.
According to the Canada Free Press, Sweden has the second highest Muslim immigration rate in Europe and the second highest sexual assault rate in Europe. 1 in 5 women in the UK will be sexually assaulted, according to the Canada Free Press.
How about if we take Canada, the UK out and put USA, coming to a city near you. So you complain about me when I said men will rape your daughters. That was, 19 years ago. Now they can't. Because I got enough evidence. That's what they're doing in Europe. And I'm telling you, they will rape your wives and your daughters and your granddaughters. They'll be raped. They love to have sex with little children. Why? Because they're following the noble example of Muhammad himself, the pedophile.
The Canada Free Press went on to say, the statistics suggest that the key factor is not necessarily a high Muslim population, but a high Muslim immigrant population.
This is stupid. See how liberal these people are? They are trying to find, well, it is not actually because we got large number of Muslims, it is because we got immigrants. Really? You see what's happening is this. From the 50s until today, we have Muslims in America. And they did nothing like that. But guess what? There's still 1%, 1.5%. Wait until they get 5.5%. How do you think they're going to reach 5% or 5.5%? It's very simple. Get yourself a liberal president 2020. I promise you, it will not be any different than the dumb lady of Germany. What did she do? She brought 1.2 million refugees in less than 2 years. 1.2. Can you imagine? Germany is like Florida, okay? We got 50 states. Can you imagine? We got a liberal president, and we give the House, the Congress, and the Senate to the liberals as well. And then they will have the no border, and they will open the embassies all over the Muslim world to bring Muslims to America. We can put easily 1 million Muslim in every state. We can put in America 50 million Muslim in one election, 4 years. Happen in Germany, it can happen to Florida, trust me. And there's nothing you can do about it. 50 million. I'm talking about kissing your country goodbye between 2020 to 2024. That'll be the end of America. And there is no place to move to. So if you think to go to Canada, it's already bad in Canada. They have actually a political party in Canada. Muslim political party in Canada. Soon they will have it in America.
The more open a European country is to Muslim mass migration, the more dangerous it is to women.
And if you say that, you must be Islamophobic. You must be a bad dude. 55 slide of 155. I still have 100 to go, so obviously we're going to stop here. My friends, the topic is so big The study is so deep. Even if I sit with you another 2.5, 3 hours to finish this presentation, I'm only sharing with you a little bit. My hope, my prayer, is you do your work. You need to study some more. You dig in more. Maybe also invite me back again. Trust me. People like me do not go to speak to meetings unless there are 400 or 500 members watching, attend the meeting. I really care less about how many people have there. I'd love to have this place, small, tiny church filled. But that's not the ultimate thing. If I can have a promise, half of you will show up tomorrow in that meeting, I'll come back again tomorrow to continue with our study. And if you ever hear Usama Dakdok coming to speak, we already heard him. We have plenty of different seminars. Plenty. You will never hear me repeat myself. I don't repeat myself. I don't have to repeat myself unless by mistake I open the same presentation. And if you see this happen in the future, Usama already heard this one. Give us something else. Okay? I promise you. If we meet for 40 days, every night for 2 hours, it will be new study, new material. So educate yourself. I got some books here. I'm going to show you these books. First of all, you need to get yourself a copy of my English translation of the Quran. Not as my brother said, an excellent. It's not an excellent. It is accurate translation. I give you the interpretation of the great Muslim scholar Ibn Kathir, and then I lead you back to the Bible to learn about the true story or the true account of all these names. Finally, this is my brand new book. I just picked it up from the print. Exposing the truth about jihad. Volume 1. This is only volume 1. Holy War in the Bible. And coming up sometime in the end of this year, by Christmas, or if not next year, volume 2, Unholy War in the Quran. Where here we talk about all the killing in the Bible and why it is justifiable, why it is right for God to perform jihad, for example, with flood, when he killed all the people of the earth, or with fire, when he killed the people who live in 5 cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, or by the sword, when he killed the wicked, evil people who live in the promised land because of their sins. They will come back to this land 400 years later to inherit it because the sins of the Amorite is not in full yet. So it was a punishment for sin. And what I love about these skeptics and Muslims who try to find all the killing in the Bible, they will never bother to look for a passage where God Almighty killed the Jewish people. They always look for where the Jewish people kill somebody else. Or they always leave the part where the Jewish people kill Jewish people by the order of God. Why? Because of sin. And I love it how Christians always say, well, the killing is only in the Old Testament. No, my friends, that's not true. The killing is also go in the New Testament. But in the New Testament, I call it the holiness of jihad. The most holy jihad. Why? Because God Almighty killed His own Son, Jesus Christ, for your sins and mine. This is the ultimate justice of God, because the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God, eternal life. In the Old Testament, people die for their sin, and they have a way out, which is to offer sacrifices. And all these sacrifices did not forgive their sin, but actually cover their sin. Temporary fixing. Why? Because all the sacrifices of the Old Testament was fulfilled in one sacrifice, the Lamb of God, Jesus Christ. When John the Baptist saw him, he said, behold, the Lamb of God who will carry away the sin of the New Testament. No, the sin of the world. Jesus died on the cross to save Abraham from his sin, to save Adam from his sin, to save your sin and my sin. He is the true sacrifice. And in him, we can receive forgiveness of our sin. These are wonderful books because I wrote them myself. And if you do not have the money to get them tonight, understand that Muslims love to say, oh, I travel all over the country to make lots of money. Yeah, I did not charge you a dime to come to speak here tonight. I know they're going to be asking you to give donation or love offer. Appreciate you for doing that. But if you're going to give me $20 in your love offer, I'd rather if you get a book. Why? Because you can take more material with you home. And when you read these books, ladies and gentlemen, use your camera. It's very easy. As you see, wow, that's what the Quran said? I can't believe it. So what do? You grab your camera and you take a picture of that page and you send it to your friends. That's how I will be able tonight to speak to 10,000 people. Tonight, because I'm speaking to you. Because each and every one of you on Facebook, on whatever media you're talking to, you have a bunch of friends. If I can share some truths about Sharia with you, and you take it to your friends, and you have huge list of friends, then I spoke tonight to 5,000, perhaps 10,000. That means by the end of this year, I'll be speaking to millions of people because of you. Don't forget, listen to our radio broadcast every day on VCY America. Download that app. You can go to our website and find it. That is a daily program. I do it only for a half hour. I've been doing this now for 6 years. Saturday night in Blog Talk Radio. All right. Brother Allen knows about, you keep changing their names. I don't know why you change your name. Anyway, you go on our website. This is a 2-hour program. We do a Saturday night between 10 to 12, only a Saturday night, and you can listen to the archive later. If you missed it, all this material available on our website. Also, our TV station, which is the Straightway TV, which you can watch it on Channel 30 on Milwaukee, and you can download the app as well, and you watch it, or by logging in Worldview Weekend, and you watch it with Brandon House. These are the material which we do every week. We travel to speak in this country. Keep me in your prayers and swing by my table. You can have all these books, no money at all today. Sometime between here and Christmas, you have 8 months, you can send us that donation. These are not for sale. These are just donation. So when I say $20, that does not mean you have to give me 20. You can always give me more. Thank you so much.
225 also teaches Muslim to lie, and it is taqiyya, Quran 3:28. When you see Muslims in America hugging you ladies and kissing you on your cheeks and hugging you men and call you friends and and all this propaganda, this is practicing taqiyya. Quran chapter 3 verse 28. We'll talk a little bit more about it in this presentation as well, which is Allah said, do not take infidels for friends rather than believers, and whoever does this among you, they have nothing to do with Allah, except his exception, that you should guard yourself from them cautiously. The word guard yourself is to protect yourself. So the only reason I take you as friend is that I'm protecting myself from you, from your husband. If I tell you that the day is coming, I'm going to kill your husband so I can rape you and your daughter, what is the chance to be your neighbor for, say, an hour? Or say a minute? For sure you're going to do something about it. So I'm lying to deceive you. And the interpretation of that verse is so powerful. And Reliance said, you can take them as friends with your tongue, not with your hearts. That is to be, and he said, and this can only be practiced to whoever live in a country is not strong in it. So Muslims living in America are not strong, they can pretend to be your friends. But in reality, 551, Allah said, do not take the Jews and Christians for friends, rather than the believer. That's his teaching. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How does Sharia equate to the Ten Commandments?
It is the opposite of the Ten Commandments. If we do a study, if we compare here Sharia and the Ten Commandments, the Ten Commandments said, love God, all your heart, mind, said, the Ten Commandments, the Sharia said, love Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is Satan. How do you know Allah is Satan? Read my Quran, beginning from chapter 1, verse 1. When Muslims say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, the praises be to Allah, the Lord of the world. If you go to the Bible, 2 Corinthians 4:4, it teaches that the God of this world, the Lord of this world is Satan. Allah is the best deceiver. Allah lead people astray. Allah filled hell with Christians. As a matter of fact, according to Sharia, Jesus Christ right now is burning in hell. Why? Because he accepted the worship of his disciples. He accepted the worship of the early Christians. And we got thousands of them. So Jesus right now is in hell. So the teaching of Allah in the Quran is the teaching of the devil. When the Bible said in the commandment, love your neighbor, Muhammad said, kill your neighbor, the Christian and the Jew. When the Bible said, thou shalt not kill, he said, kill. When the Bible said, thou shalt not commit adultery, Muhammad said, rape him. We're that. In 424, you kidnap an infidel lady, even if she is married. You have the right to have sexual relationship with him. Everything about the Ten Commandments goes the opposite of everything about Sharia. And by the way, our Constitution in America, our law in this country is built in Judeo Christian belief, which means fit perfectly with Yahweh, Jehovah, the God of the Bible. If we continue a little bit in our study here, you will see that in the Ten Commandments, in the biblical teaching and in our Constitution and the amendment we have in our Constitution. I cover this in the next half of our study. Another question?
I noticed.
Yes, question here.
Well, I'll come to you in a minute, please.
Yeah, I notice whenever I talk about Muslim or Islam, people just shut you out. They don't want to hear it. My own daughter will not have anything to do with me. Oh, you're a hater, you're a pagan, you're a...
Yeah.
She won't even see me.
You know, this is not new, sister. Paul said, a very powerful verse in the Bible, you hate us because we speak to you the truth, or because we tell you the truth. And the best thing I can give you advice when you talk about Islam, I'm not interested to hear your opinion. I have no interest of your thoughts. So the best way to talk about the Quran, let Allah speak for himself. How much did I share with you tonight from my opinion? Did I share with you one opinion? No. Allah said, Muhammad said, the Sharia book said, here is a verse, here is an interpretation by Muslim scholars. Even when he answers the question about taqiyya, the verse said, except to protect yourself from them cautiously. What does it mean? What mean? No. Al-Jalalain said, and I quote you, take them as friend with your tongue, not with your heart, and you can only do this when you live in a country as a weak Muslim. Slow number and small amount of weapon to fight. I mean, it is all over the Quran. So the best thing, educate yourself about Islam. Read, study. Man, we know about everything in this country. When it comes to Islam, we're Muslim. That's why your daughter think you're bigots. So the best thing you do is, here's what Allah said, here's what Muhammad said, here's what Muslim scholars believe. Here's what Muslims believe. If you do not know how to quote the Quran and quote the saying of Muhammad, you are 100%, in my opinion, a bigot. You're a racist. You're a hate monger, you're a Islamophobic. But if you can quote from the Quran, I stand in front of you shocked. You know, it's like I'm in awe. Can you imagine when you see a white lady, American free woman like you, quoting the verse of the Quran about women? To teach it to your daughter, teach it to your neighbors? Or, Muslim rape, Muslim do this, Muslim general talk, make you a bigot. Because I don't want to say about Islam. You're not teaching me Islam. You're teaching me how bigot you are, how hateful you are. So stop giving people your opinion. Let the Quran speak for itself. Allah does not have a short hand. He has enough material to destroy himself. Two reasons why Muslims leave Islam. Ready for that? Two reasons. Number one, because Muslims study the Quran. Number two, because Muslims learn about Muhammad. The two important reasons which could lead the whole world to become a Christian is read the Bible, learn about Jesus. It is the opposite of Islam. The moment you read the Quran, the moment you learn about Muhammad, that is the moment you run out of Islam. Ask all convert Muslims to Christ. Go online and watch their videos. They all have the same message. I read the Quran, therefore I left Islam. Even those who become atheists. You don't have to become a Christian. You leave Islam and become an atheist. Why they become an atheist? Because they learn the truth about Islam from the Quran and from Muhammad of obviously words and hadith. So let's learn about Islam and let's educate us about Islam. And I look forward, when I come back next time, I have a question here. When I come back next time, please invite some of your friends. I don't mind to talk to 10 people. As a matter of fact, when I fly, I talk to the person who sits next to me the entire 3 hours. And I love it when the flight is full. I said, look around. Look around. I said, do you see one empty seat? They said, no. I said, that's your lucky day or your sad day. What do you mean? I said, I'm a talker. What do you talk about? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I said, we're not going anywhere. And believe me, there are many times I'll be sitting in an airplane, especially in the middle seat of the big flight, like the 747. I'm not kidding. The 4 people next to me, the 4 behind me, the 4 in front of me, and the 2 on the side. All of them around that big circle as I teach them about Islam. And I've done it many times all over there. The ladies working, what they call the stores, they don't like it because they cannot go with their food and stuff. I just talk. You have knowledge, you can reach out to lots of people. Another question here. I saw a hand here. Some of yours. Yes, yes.
You said that Islam should not be regarded as a religion but as a cult. Is there any way to redefine Islam in our culture as a cult so that they don't get the religious positions that they've been graciously awarded?
See, what is religion and what is cult? This is not just cult. I'm just sharing with you one of many presentations. Islam, when I say Islam is a cult, I'm actually being polite, I'm being nice. Islam is a savage cult. If you think about why we have right now bombing of Christians in the country of Sri Lanka, why they are killing Christians, why they are burning churches in France. Do you know how many churches are burned in France?
800 something last year.
You know how many churches are burned in Europe? The media will not tell you because they don't want you to learn the truth about Islam. They
They're lying to you. Islam is not just a cult, it's a savage cult. A cult teach if you, as a human, this gentleman here, left Islam, I have the right to eat his flesh. Uncooked. Think about it. That is a religion. Is this a religion to eat human flesh? Uncooked? If you cook it, it's not lawful. You know why they have the hijab? We talked about hijab today, but I never got in detail. It's coming up a little bit later. What is a real hijab for a female? You think hijab is to show her eyes or show her face. No. A real hijab is cover two dresses. One from your shoulder down, another one from your head down, with one hole in front of your eyes. Which eye? The left eye. That is a true hijab. Is this a religion? Or that's a savage called abuse women. You know what Islam was teach? The circumcision of the females. Why we circumcise the females? Because it is Islam. I know they're trying to teach you this is culture. It is Islam. Half of the female of the world are circumcised so they will not enjoy any sexual orgasm, period. Because what does it do? You're going to live or you're going to die. Because if you enjoy sex out of marriage, we have to kill you. Why? Because same law. There's 3 reasons why we kill a female if she committed adultery. So because we protect you, where's the parents? Where's the men that protect you? We're going to circumcise a female to make sure that they will never have the feelings or the desire to have sex. That is not a cult. That is a savage cult. So Islam is not a religion. As a matter of fact, all these presentations about Sharia, it's about laws. Islam covers more laws than religion, if you want to think it that way. Over 80% of Islam is law, and less than 20% of Islam is religion. There is no way I can call Islam a religion. It is a cult, and it is a savage cult. The retaliations happen all over the world today. Go back to Qur'an chapter 2, verse 178. Quran chapter 2 and verse 178. That's when Allah said, retaliation is ordained to you in the case of murder. A free man for a free, slave for a slave, and a female for a female. And how many Christians must be killed for these 50 Muslims who were killed in New Zealand? I have no idea, maybe a few millions. Because everybody would like to retaliate. Because it's a savage cult. It's the work of the devil. Satan. Allah is Satan, who desires nothing but to steal and to kill and to destroy. And that's exactly what Muslims have done. The history of Islam can be summarized in one sentence. It is a gushing river of blood. When Muslims could not find another infidel to kill, they killed each other. As a matter of fact, more Muslims killed by the hand of the Muslims the last 1400 years than all the Muslims who were ever killed by any infidel. There's this huge number difference between those Muslims killed by Muslims than infidels kill Muslims. All the wars in this. Yeah.
Because they always bring up the Crusades.
Well, sister, we can talk about the Crusade. The Crusade is a wonderful war. I love the Crusades. As a matter of fact, if it was not for the Crusades, Muslims would have taken Europe way in the 11th century. The Crusades were the reaction of the Muslim action. We talked about that in one of my broadcasts. We got 8 studies on this, 8 programs. And I talked about the Crusade. And I said, if it was not for the Crusade, you have to understand why the Crusades came to exist. Because Muslims take Turkey and they're moving towards Europe from the east. And they took Spain and they're moving towards Europe from the west. They're taking over Europe. They performed the Crusade to stop the Muslims from taking over Europe.
Yeah.
I talked to a Muslim driver in Illinois. I get you as a mic. We have you here. I talked to a driver in New Orleans just a few weeks ago. And he talked about the Crusade. I said, what do you expect the people of Europe to do? Stay in their homes, waiting for your people to go to their villages and their cities, kill the men and rape the women like you did in Egypt, and he was from Senegal. I said, has it happened in your country and my country? Or should these men go out and fight and kill the savage Muslims who are trying to take over Europe? And he did not have an answer. I said, if that's okay with you, we can send the British or the American soldiers to take over your city and where you come from. At least, when we fight these wars, it was not for raping the women. Read about the holy war in the Bible. Very, very wonderful sets of rules God put in the Bible for those who perform the holy war. Brother Mike.
2 questions. Are you allowed music in Islam, in strictly Muslim countries?
Music in Islam is forbidden. It's haram.
It's forbidden?
Yes, you cannot have music.
And my other question is, leading question, how do you prove rape in Islam?
Well, the rape in Islam can be proven according to the rule of Allah.
DNA?
No, DNA is bid'ah, and bid'ah is the law which is with lostness, and every bid'ah in hell. The DNA, the only way you can prove a rape in Islam is for that woman who's raped, according to the Qur'an chapter 24, that woman must produce 4 eyewitnesses that she was raped. And the 4 eyewitnesses is not because a man saw a woman in bed naked. No, they have to see the actual intercourse. As she was screaming, "Stop raping me." Good luck to figure out how you can prove 3 men saw the rape is not right. It must be 4. Because Aisha, Muhammad's favorite wife, that little child, was accused of being committing adultery. And they only brought 3 witnesses. And he said, Allah said, had they brought the 4th, it will be right. But then, because he only brought 3 witnesses, the story ended that she did not commit adultery, even though she did commit adultery with Safwan, who were obviously 3 eyewitnesses, biblically is accurate. The Bible talked about 2 or 3 witnesses. 2 in all the normal cases, adultery, whatever. 3 in the cases of murder, killing. You have to have the 3rd eyewitness. And that's obviously Old Testament laws. Because as we know from the scripture, when they brought that woman to Jesus who committed adultery, and they said, "Moses said to be stoned. What would you say, Jesus?" He said, "Whoever among you without sin, let him cast the first stone." And they all left, start from the old to the young. And he stood up and he told the lady, "What are those who accuse you or want you to be put to death?" She said, "They are not here, master or sir." And he said, "Neither will I will condemn you. Go and sin no more." It's not because Christianity allowed adultery. No, because Jesus paid for her sin on the cross in his own death. Any other questions? Going once?
Is
Last
there
question?
anything that we can do to stop the expansion of mosques in America?
The only way we can stop Muslims from building a mosque in America, I wish you could take the last portion of that study, because that covers this in depth. The only way we can stop the Muslim from building a mosque in America is this. We need to know the plan. The strategic goal of Muslim in America. Why is it building mosques? Have we have enough Christian in any community in America to learn the Muslim agenda? Why is it building that mosque in the community? That is the only way, not only we can stop the building of a mosque, but actually closing any mosque in America. By our constitution, we can close any mosque in America. Not one mosque has been closed yet, because the American people are no longer asleep, but they are in a coma. You guys have no clue what you do. Meetings like this should not have less than 2,000-3,000 people. I know, because I'm arrogant and I'm proud of myself, because we need to learn these facts. If you attend this seminar from beginning to end, and you get enough people in Florida to learn it, trust me, Orlando will not have one mosque. We can close less mosques. Because in their own writing, from the Holy Land Foundation trial, go online and read this document, which was called the strategic goal of the Muslim Brotherhood in America. Strategic goal of Muslim Brotherhood in North America, exactly. In their plan, they said they are building mosques in America for the reason to use it in the future as a place to launch attack, to kill the Christian, to kill the Jew, to kill the American. That's their own handwriting. You know who did that? CARE, the group we talked about, and ISNA, and MSA, 30 of them. I give you the entire list in my study if we come back in the future to cover the rest of the study. All of them are in agreement to do that. That is their goal, to Muslimize America, to take over America, to force Sharia on our children, our grandchildren. And boy, oh boy, as American, we will learn the truth about Islam.
There was a good news. We did stop one big mosque being built north of Disneyland. And then a second one, we lost with the county commission after the hearing. We won the hearing, then we lost the county commission vote. But now the permitting process is going on, and we're holding up and may stop it with the permitting process. Thank God.
Yeah. The reason we don't stop Muslims from building a mosque, have you been to these meetings? We don't want to have them Muslim people here building a mosque in our community with all them cars in our parking lot. Well, don't worry, we're going to take a church and make it a mosque. And there's plenty of car lot on the city. We don't know where's the money coming from. Well, don't worry, I'm going to get you a lady with blue eyes and her husband with green eyes, white American, who became Muslim, who will pay for the building of the mosque. We do not know why. This is dumb reasons. The reason why we should not have a mosque in America, because Islam is unconstitutional.
You teach in your religion to kill people. You teach in your religion to kill people of the religious Islam and to kill people to become Muslim. That does not fit with freedom of religion. That is a no-no. You know what I did years ago? I'm trying to convince people that building a mosque in America is illegal. And I could not, because you look at me like your daughter. I'm a bigot. That's okay. Freedom of religion in America, yeah. Anybody can build any building, yeah. Anybody can worship whatever they want, yeah. It's okay. I'm going to build, you can go on and on this article. UU Temple. UU Temple. And the man said, what is UU Temple? I said, it's brand new religion. America. Freedom of religion. I'm going to start a new religion. A UU religion. And I'm going to build UU Temple. Okay? I said, yeah. I said, in our UU religion, everybody in our community must become a part of our UU Temple. They must worship with us in our UU religion. And in the future, if somebody chooses to leave the UU belief, we will kill him. And if anyone right now does not want to be a part of our UU belief, we will kill him. Now, let's take that paper and go to any city hall in America and try to get me a permit to build a UU temple. Challenge you, trust me. If you spend the last dime you got, if you get the best lawyer you got, you cannot build a UU temple in America because it's unconstitutional, and the UU is nothing but Islam for the idiot Americans. Simple reading to the Quran, simple study for Sharia, simple reading to that book, the Reliance, you find it is unconstitutional, it's illegal for Muslims to breathe air in South America. Unless you think it's okay for the Taliban or for ISIS or for Al-Qaeda to take over the White House or run this country. That's okay. Go for it. Freedom of religion. Why we kill Bin Laden? Did we kill Bin Laden because our constitution said kill innocent people or kill criminal people? Every Muslim is a terrorist. That's actually, if you go to your website, you can see Usama Dakdok said every Muslim is a terrorist. Why do I say that? Maybe I got a verse in the Quran. Maybe actually I got 6 verses in the Quran. Write them down. Quran chapter 3 verse 151. Quran chapter 3 verse 151. Quran chapter 8 verse 12. Quran chapter 8 verse 12. Quran chapter 8 verse 60. Quran chapter 33. Quran chapter 33 verses 26 and 27. Quran chapter 59 verse 3. And Quran chapter 59, verse 12. And let me read to you the last verse. 59:12. Here we go, America. Allah said in the Quran, I'm sorry, verse 13. So 59:2 and 59:13. 59:2, 59:13. Here is it. You who speaking here, Allah speaking to the Muslim believers, not radicals, not extremists, Muslim believers. You are greater terror in their chest than Allah. You are greater terror in their chest than Allah. This is because they are people who do not understand. Allah is telling us in the Quran that every Muslim believer ought to be a terrorist. Therefore, every Muslim who believes in that book, the Quran, should never live in America. Cannot live in America. As we harm them and kill them overseas, we ought to do the same thing in America. But that's not what I believe as a Christian. This is what is taught, what's practiced in America and our Constitution, our laws. You cannot bring people here to America to kill Christians, or to kill Jews, or to kill gay and lesbians, or to kill agnostics or atheists. You can't do this. It's a country built on freedom of religion. I want to be a Christian, I can be. I want to be a Jew. I want to be an atheist. I want to worship that speaker here. I want to worship that screen here. That is my God. That's what I'm going to worship. In Islam, I will be killed for worshiping that. In American Constitution, I'm free to worship every wish, as long as it does not disturb peace. Islam is not just disturb peace. Islam is the spread of tyranny. Read the Quran. I give you 6 verses. Read it. Get one copy for somebody else, and the Lord will bless you for doing that. Because that's what we need to do. We need to educate people about that savage call. Let me pray for you so we can leave this room. And if you have any other question, I would love to answer them. Okay? And Father God, we give thanks to you for you're an awesome God. You love us so much, you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for our sins. You love this country, and you shed your grace in this country. A country established on freedom, and will continue to exist as long as there's freedom. And when we lose our freedom in this land, that will be the day when Muslims control this land. Help us, Lord Jesus, to be faithful and loving you and worshiping you and serving you. May we take some of these truths we shared here tonight to the rest of the people around us, that the people will be set free. Not only the American will be set free, but even the Muslims who live in America to be set free. You taught us to love the Muslim people simply because they are enemies. And help us, Lord Jesus, to love them, not in just in words, but in actions, that we will share the truth of the gospel with them, that they may come to know you, Lord Jesus, as Lord and Savior. We're about to leave this house, but from your loving face and your wonderful grace, may we never leave. And it's in Christ's holy name alone we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
أحبائي أخواتي المسلمين اللي سمعوني في هذا البرنامج، أنا بحب أنهي هذه الرسالة بنقول لكم إن إحنا بنحبكم. مش هدفنا إن إحنا نعيركم بالمشاكل اللي موجودة عندكم أو ننتقدها النقد العام زي ما بيحصل في مصر حاليا مع الأزهر الشريف وتعاليم كتب الأزهر الشريف. لكن إحنا بننقدكم نقد علمي، نقد تاريخي، نقد حقيقي اللي فيه بنعرفكم إن دي حقيقة الإسلام، دي تعليم الشريعة، دي تعليم القرآن وتعليم الأحاديث، دي السنة اللي أنت كمسلم لازم تؤمن بيها وتعيش بيها. هل أنت ترضى بهذا؟ إذا ما كنتش ترضى بهذه التعليم، مش عايزك تجمل القرآن أو تجمل الإسلام بأنك تنكر كل الحاجات اللي اتكلمنا فيها النهاردة، لكن عايزك تدرس أكتر وتتعمق أكتر وتعرف الحقائق دي أكتر عشان تترك الإسلام. مش هنجمل الإسلام لكن نترك الإسلام عشان نعرف الحق الذي لا يوجد إلا في شخص ربنا يسوع المسيح. وحتى نلتقي بكم في برنامج آخر وفي دراسة أخرى، نستودعكم في يد الله القدير. شكرا لكم.